going on, people? Today we're gonna go ahead and go over some of the mistakes that I'm seeing a lot of people do with their accounts, and that maybe they don't even know that they're doing it. As you guys may know, CAE and LOF are both recruiting currently, and so we're looking at applications that people want to join. And usually what we want to go ahead and see is your hero layouts, your battalions, your gear setups, etc., just to make sure that the people that we're recruiting are actually pretty competent, or at least have the basics down. And I'm noticing that some people are making the same mistake, so that's the main thing that we're going to go ahead and tackle today. That way you can set yourself up to succeed. Speaking of setting yourself up to succeed, we do have the BP coins out right now. So if you are one that are going to do normal buys, you know, maybe you'll get the $5 pack every day or every other day or whatever it may be, make sure that you're taking advantage of these extra gifts, because remember, you don't have to go all the way to the end to start benefiting. You can start from just the 15. I mean, 75% times 30, etc. That's pretty good. Now, if you're going to be doing this and you're going to be buying packs, make sure that you are using the Amazon coins. And that brings us to the sponsor of today's video. Now, with the Amazon App Store, you can go ahead and start saving 20% off with Amazon coins. And this also is available with Windows 11 as well. If you are on iOS, just keep in mind that if you go to your computer, you can actually use an emulator, and with the emulator you can download the Amazon App Store and make your purchases through there. So just in case you're using an iOS device and don't have any other way, but yeah, there's an easy way for you to start saving daily or weekly, however it is that you're making your purchases with Lords Mobile. That way you can take advantage of a lot of these deals that are out, like the BP coins, for instance. Now, there's an easy way to go about it. Now, the first thing that you need to do is follow the link down in the description and in the comment section, and that will take you to a page where you can go ahead and download the Amazon App Store. Now, once you do have the Amazon App Store, all you gotta do is open up the Amazon App Store and download Lords Mobile directly from that App Store. Once you do that, then you're gonna have another Lords Mobile app that you can use. And once you open that specific Lords Mobile app is where you can go ahead and log into your account. And when you go and purchase packs, instead of your regular currency that you're used to seeing whenever you go and buy the packs, you will then start seeing the Amazon coins currency, and you can start purchasing and getting those bonuses. So if you haven't already, make sure that you click the link down in the description and in the comment section and start saving today, because I'm telling you, over time, this is going to save you quite a bit of money, and there's no reason not to. So make sure you click the link down in the description. That way you can get started, download the App Store, and start your savings today. Now, first and foremost, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the biggest mistakes that I'm noticing that people are actually not realizing, and that is with their wall. And whether that's heroes or familiars, a lot of people are not doing what they really should be doing. Now, for the most part, familiars are pretty self-explanatory, and some people don't have many options. So if you don't have like the best familiars, I understand that. But there are a couple of ones that I definitely want to go over and just mention that you probably shouldn't use it. But first, let's go ahead and tackle your heroes. Now, if you take a look at my setup here, my setup is with army heroes, right? And not a lot of you may have army heroes. Maybe you only have one or two, etc. So maybe that's where the confusion is. Okay, well, I'm using my army heroes, and what then do I use? Well, first, if you have army heroes like I do here, this is the heroes that you want to use on your wall. I know that some people are using like Petit Devil when they have Songstress, etc. So if you have army attack heroes like this, you got army HP, army attack, which are the two most important ones, and then army defense, although army defense isn't as important. Those are the ones that you want on your wall. The other thing is, if you have more heroes that are army heroes than these 5, then that means you have more options. So what should you do then? Remember that heroes, they are infantry, they are cavalry, they are ranged. So then a lot of things that I'm seeing is that they'll have like 4 cavalry heroes, even though they're all army, but they're all still 4 cavalry heroes, and then 1 infantry hero, meaning they have no range. So if you take a look at my setup, right, I have 2 infantry, I have 2 ranged, and then I have 1 cavalry. Now the reason for that is because you can't have 2-2-2 since you can only have 5 heroes, right? So if you're gonna go mix, there's generally gonna be one troop type that you're only gonna have that 1 hero. And because I normally will never defend in a cav formation, it means that cavalry is the lowest priority for me. So that's why I go 2 infantry, 2 range, 1 cav. Now, if you are free to play, and let's say you don't have access to a lot of these heroes, right? Let me go ahead and swap my hero out. So if you're free to play and you don't have access to a lot of these army heroes, here's what then you can do. So Rose Knight obviously goes without saying, is one of the best heroes in the game, bar none. And if you're free to play, that's generally the 1 hero that you're going to have as your leader. And then how do you round out the rest for your wall? Well, first of all, there is another army hero that's free to play, and that is going to be Bomb and Goblin. So Bomb and Goblin comes with army attack, which is 20%, and that means it's going to give you 20% range, infantry, and cav attack, which is good, especially free to play. But now you're thinking, all right, well, I'm free to play, I don't really have all these other heroes, what do I do after this? Well, if you have Watcher, because I know Watcher can also be considered free to play, then you absolutely should include Watcher because he is a very, very strong army hero, army HP, army attack. But if you don't, let's say that you don't, then notice that you have 1 cavalry and 1 range hero. Now, what I would suggest is that you go with an infantry hero. In this case, it could be Demon Slayer or it could be Wesley. Where is Wesley? Right here. The reason being is because they give you not only infantry, because you have no infantry hero just yet, and it gives you the best stats, 50 HP, 30% attack. Then after that, you want to go with the range equivalent to Demon Slayer, and that is going to be Snow Queen. Again, why is that? Because it gives you the most important stats, HP and attack for range. And then from there, you can either, depending on your comp, you can either go for another infantry hero if you choose. So you could go here, you can go Wesley or Watcher. Honestly, if that would be preferable, because then you have 2 infantry, 2 range, 1 cav, the same thing that we talked about earlier. But if you don't have Watcher, another decent option would be where is this man? Sparky. Child of Light, because again it's going to be the cavalry equivalent of the Demon Slayer and the Snow Queen. Cavalry attack, cavalry max HP, and then you round out your 5 heroes on your wall. So that's if you're free to play. Try to stay away from heroes that only give you defense, or heroes that don't give you either attack or HP in general. I noticed somebody was using a Shade the other day, and I'm like, why would you use Shade? It only gives you defense. It doesn't really make much sense. So just be reminded of that you prioritize attack, then HP, then defense as far as your wall heroes, and then make sure that you don't overload your wall with the same type of heroes, like 4 cavalry heroes and then 1 infantry. Try to keep it somewhat balanced, right? So with that being said, with your familiars, generally the cheaper familiars are the ones that people would go for. This would be this one right here, Drown Out. Army max HP is reduced by 15% for the enemy, and then the Hearty Feast. These are generally the 2 that most free-to-play players or players without like high-end familiars will go for. And then if you don't have a lot of options, then I can see you going with either Long Shot or Fear Spike, depending on what front you're going to use. Because let's be honest, even if your range front, you know, this won't proc until you lose 10% of your troops, of your range troops anyway. But if you get countered, you're probably going to need it, and if you don't have that many options, it's going to be a good one. One that I noticed a lot of people were using was Pyrus, and I don't even have it unlocked just because it's a very bad army talent. It lasts for the first 10 seconds of the battle, but your troops won't engage until there's only like 4 seconds left. So in general, this turbocharge is not even going to be used. So be mindful of your familiars, because I know that this is the area where a lot of people won't have a lot of options, but just be mindful of the ones that you actually do have and try to pick the best ones for you. If you're a big boy, then obviously this kind of setup is probably what you want to go for. This setup is specifically if I am range wedge, and that is to help me if I'm countered with an infantry blast. But if you're infantry, then you switch out this last two, the Snow Shield and the Strange Sorcery for the infantry equivalent, etc. But I have a whole video on that. But just wanted to clear that up. Now, the other thing that we're noticing is people and their gear. Okay, this looks weird. Let me change to my normal hero. I'm noticing that a lot of people, not only do they have mixed cavalry range and infantry, but that what they're doing is that they are taking so much from each set and making the other set weaker, and then trying to spread it out between all 4 sets, especially with like jewels and whatnot. So they'll have a bunch of like green and blue jewels, but have no purples in their mix, etc. And you gotta ask yourself this first and foremost: are you a person that's actually soloing or rallying things, right? If you answer that yes, I do fairly often solo, etc., then okay, try to have a set for each one and try to maybe have some jewels for it and whatnot. If the answer to your question is you don't normally solo anything and you're mainly just joining rallies or taking rallies or whatever it may be, my suggestion to you would be forget the cavalry set, the range set, the infantry set, and focus on your mix set, right? Because I'm seeing a lot of people that they have their mix set, right? And let's just go like non-champ, best in slot, non-champ, right? So let's say they have something along the lines of something like this. And what they do is they'll start using all their jewels here: infantry attack, range attack, cavalry attack. If you happen to have champion jewels, even better. But generally speaking, what you want to jewel this up as is all 3 attack jewels. Forget defense jewels, they're not going to get you anywhere. And forget the monster jewels until you get them to at least like purple. The monster jewels should generally just stick with items that you're going to be using for blast, like Gargantua jewel, etc. Just leave that for the cavalry set. And when you're focusing on your mix set, make sure that you are using your jewels to your advantage. And what do I mean by that? Well, take a look at this, right? 1 gold range jewel gives you 20% attack. But if you only have that 1 gold range jewel, and then the other sets or the other items in your set don't really have like another purple, or you're rocking blues, etc., 1 gold jewel is only 20%. But 4 purples, it's 48%. So you gotta think, okay, is this range jewel going to gold? Is it gonna hurt my overall jewels in my other items? And if that's the answer, if the answer is yes, remember that having 1 gold and then a bunch of blues compared to having like 4 purples instead, the purples are going to give you more stats. So just make sure that you're jeweling correctly. Don't use defense jewels, because these are jewels that not only is it really not doing much for you right now, but generally speaking, you're going to have to rejewel and start using gems for it all. So make sure that that's what you're doing. Mix it. Focus on that if you're not attacking anything, and make sure you're double checking your wall, you're double checking your familiars. And one last note. Now my comp is a little bit wonky because I got a boost pretty soon. But if you are past a T3 player and you're like a T4, T5 player, etc., I'm noticing that a lot of people are settling with like 6 million each T2, or like 7 million each T2, and then they'll have like 2 million each T4. That's okay if you're like in a slow kingdom, but remember, with all these counters that are around, 6 million T2s goes in 1 rally. Like, all it will take is 1 rally to catch you off guard, and that front line is pretty much gone. So try to up your T2s, especially if you're going to be going to bigger kingdoms, to at least 10 million each. And also keep in mind that from your T4s, don't focus too much on your T2, and then neglect your T4, kind of like how I'm doing now. But I don't feel so bad because my T5 numbers kind of make up for it. I have over a million of each, so it's not that urgent. But generally speaking, what I would like to say is your T4 numbers to your T2, you should have roughly about ×4 of the amount of T4 that you have. Roughly. Now, if you want to go higher, sure, the more troops the better, obviously, and the more T4 and T5 the better, for sure. But let's say that you want to sit around 2 million each T4, then I would suggest having at least 8 million to 10 million each T2. That way you're not heavy on one or the other. But yeah, like I mentioned before, just make sure that you're double checking this stuff. And I know, listen, I know some people are like, well, duh, but you might be surprised. If you check, you might be surprised, because I've seen people when they register for like Showdown and they're using some off-the-wall heroes, and I'm like, yo, what? Why would you use that? And they're like, oh, you know, it's been so long, I didn't even notice. Just do me a favor, double check your setup. Make sure you're setting yourself up to succeed. But either way, like I mentioned, this is just things that I've noticed from people that have been applying to LOF and CAE. And again, we are recruiting, so if you're interested or if you're looking for a new guild, make sure that you check our guild board for our requirements and who to reach out. And make sure that you're hitting that link down in the description for the Amazon coins and the Amazon Appstore and start your savings. But yeah, that'll be it. Appreciate you guys for coming through, and until later.